charter negotiations taking a turn for the worse. And I'm here to tell you why NASCAR teams now need Dale Earnhardt more than ever. Let's talk about it here on Stuck in the Catchments. Welcome in, everyone. My name is Ryan Peters. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. We're here to talk about the most recent news with the NASCAR agreements. Ryan McGee wrote an article for ESPN explaining how it seems like NASCAR itself, the governing body, the organization, is now further apart when it comes to its deals with the NASCAR teams. And that only means one thing, that we're less likely to have a deal done now, maybe more so than what we were 18 months ago, arguing and talking about this at this time. It wasn't that long ago that the NASCAR teams were boycotting meetings and things of that nature due to their displeasure with the recent offers and things of that nature in terms of the agreements. More often than not, when it comes to two sides being apart on something, you have to use leverage to get what it is you want. And I'm here to tell you right now, I think NASCAR, as the organization, realizes that the teams don't have leverage. And what does that mean? It means that when you look at the sport as a whole right now, what is it that NASCAR can do to bring to the table that makes the teams need NASCAR? Well, NASCAR owns the tracks, NASCAR owns other sanctioning bodies, and NASCAR holds the promotional aspect of all of it. So we also know that NASCAR gets a majority of the money when it comes to the billions upon billions of dollars TV deal that was just signed and things of that nature. You see that there's so much in the pot for NASCAR that would make it very difficult that if the NASCAR teams were to have to disband and run on their own, they would lose a lot of places that they've run from before. They would not have the same TV rights deals that NASCAR itself has. I doubt that Fox, the CW, Amazon Prime, TNT, NBC, all those would do a separate deal and compete at a separate body. So those are the things that NASCAR has in its side. And the only thing that really the NASCAR teams have on their side is, well, they have the athletes. Now, we as sports fans are not, this isn't new when it comes to two sides not agreeing upon something, especially when it comes to finances. But here is the reason why this is a bigger problem now, maybe more so than ever. NASCAR finds itself with this charter agreement that it wants to be able to buy into and still have control over every aspect that is NASCAR. With the charter agreement, they really don't have the ability to say what and who can do what as of right now, the way that's laid out, if they decide to make this a permanent structure and give teams the total control. Now, you could say, well, yeah, they shouldn't have total control of everything, but the France family has always had total control of everything. So where does the leverage come from? Where does NASCAR's leverage come from? Well, you say the stars. And that's the problem. I put a lot of this on the NASCAR teams on why we don't have a deal done, because I've said it for so long. It's now becoming more and more clear how these organizations are separated. NASCAR is there to do what's best for it from a financial standpoint, and that is purely on the media deal. NASCAR wants to make money purely from the media deal. Does it want you to get there? Yes. Does it want you to watch? Yes. But at the end of the day, its commitment for the future of the sport relies purely on television. The other side of it is now in control of branding itself, its own teams, its own sponsors, and its own drivers, because NASCAR is not going to make money from it that way. The teams are. And what have we seen now? Maybe more so than we've ever had before, and that is the lack of star power in this sport. And what's amazing is with this next gen car is that anybody could win on any given day. Justin Haley is just as capable of winning a race today than anybody could have been at any given time. I literally could watch this weekend, and if Justin Haley won at Iowa, why it would be surprising, it would not be shocking compared to a Rick Ware car winning 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We have made the sport closer than it's ever had been before with the rules that we have, the lack of innovation, the caps and things of that nature, and also a car that is pretty much a cookie cutter car. And what we're doing is allowing everybody to compete on top of it. So any given Sunday, any given driver could win. So with that being said, the ability to sell your driver, to sell sponsorships, should be easier. There's much more likely a chance that Justin Haley, for this example, will be featured in the top 10 more so than ever in the sports history. Kaz Grala, insert whatever backmarker team that you viewed it upon. I mean, we're literally talking last year, a guy like Shane Van Gisbergen came in on a third one-tier, one-off ride and won in the sport's highest governing, in the sport's highest aspect of racing. Never have teams had it easier to say, if you put your sponsorship on my car, with what we can do today, there's a high chance that you will see it on television running up front. Where we have failed, if I'm speaking from a NASCAR's team, is selling the driver behind the wheel. When I was a kid, every given gas station had a soda machine, a pop machine of Coca-Cola, Pepsi, whatever it may be, and it was one of the Coca-Cola drivers on it if it was Coke, or more often than not, it was Jeff Gordon on it if it was Pepsi. Insert NASCAR into Napa Auto Parts stores. Insert NASCAR into grocery stores when it came to different pops and things of that nature. Insert NASCAR into different beers. The sport has lost its star power, and nobody knew how much that meant more than Dale Earnhardt itself, to tie it back in. Dale Earnhardt came from a generation to where NASCAR was popular in the 70s, came into the sport. It was popular, but it wasn't, it seemed like it was at that dividing line. Like, we got some good driver in the sport, but we don't have that star power. We don't have that explosive television ratings that we could have. And the brilliant mind that is Dale Earnhardt, not only as a NASCAR driver, but as somebody, as a promoter, said, I can make this new young man, Jeff Gordon, if I make a rivalry with him, if I use my brain, use my promotional thought process, use what it is to make the sport explode, take my popularity, insert this new young guy, and make it seem like there's a feud, there's a rivalry, spice it up a bit, Hollywood it up a bit, and make this much-watched television every single weekend. And the sport exploded. You had the number one driver, the number one newcomer, seem like they're at odds, even though it was mainly just drawn up by Dale Earnhardt. And the sport exploded because Dale Earnhardt understood the need for entertainment. NASCAR is entertaining, absolutely. But if you don't have stars, you don't have this emotional pull to something, then people simply won't invest. That's why the WWE is exploding right now. Finish the story. That's why Dana White has turned the UFC from a $2 million product to a $16 billion product. That is why we're seeing these type of things in the NFL, because rivalries are created any given Sunday. When the Chiefs have a rivalry with the Bengals, when insert any previous team, back in the day, baseball, the Red Sox and the Yankees, insert college basketball, Duke and North Carolina, it's that emotional attachment to pick sides that drives fans to tune in. And we don't have that anymore. And Dale Earnhardt knew that. Dale Earnhardt could have sat there, won his championships, won all the races that he wanted, but he would never be the Dale Earnhardt if he didn't have the personality. And that's why NASCAR has no leverage, because they don't have somebody, a voice, to unilaterally say and stick up for their side and say, this is not right. We're not standing for this. This is what's going on right now. The only person that's been able to say that's Denny Hamlin, and he is a villain. There's not as many people that like Denny as they do hate him. So he is kind of turned off. It's almost like they won't listen to him because they don't like him. So you got to have somebody that's loved, somebody that understands the business, and Denny Hamlin does. And I love listening to Denny Hamlin. But Denny Hamlin also uses way too much hyperbole to get people on his side. So NASCAR needs a Dale Earnhardt voice to bat for itself, to where the leverage is not tilting one way more so than the other, and they don't have that. I mean, who's going to say that? And the crazy part is the two drivers that could do that run under Jeff Gordon. And Jeff Gordon has done the complete opposite to the way he runs things at Hendrick. He doesn't want his drivers to say anything. He doesn't want them to have these personalities. He doesn't want them to go out and do the types of things that it does to promote this sport. He has made them all lame ducks, boring interviews, and it doesn't help the sport. And when you see that, that's why they're hurting right now. That's why they don't have nothing to go to bat with. They need a Dale Earnhardt. And Jeff Gordon reaped the benefits of Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon didn't come up with this. Jeff Gordon, the race car driver of popularity, yes, he's immensely talented. He is one of the 3 greatest racers of all time. But the sport exploded because of the pedestal that was elevated by Dale Earnhardt to put Jeff Gordon on, to form the popularity that we had in that explosion in the 90s and into the 2000s. And if anybody would understand that, if anybody could look at that and understand that, you would think it would be Jeff Gordon, but Jeff Gordon did not grow into this sport the same way that Dale Earnhardt did. He didn't have a family into it. He didn't have this blue, the blood into it. And we see that trickle down to Dale Jr., to understanding that, what it needs. And Jeff Gordon does not. The ambassador of the sport, the pioneer of the sport, cannot no longer be in the sport with what it is Dale Jr. It's got to have a leading voice. Chase Elliott, you'll never see do that. Never. Chase Elliott could move mountains in terms of NASCAR if he came out and gave a very, very strong opinion and gave a very, very clear voice. And we wouldn't have to worry about this charter deal anymore, because if NASCAR Nation went behind Chase Elliott, it'd be hard to stop. If Kyle Larson would have said, the reason why I'm not going to NASCAR is because NASCAR has spit in our face, and it doesn't even have to be true, but this could have been a pivotal moment that Kyle Larson could have said, I'm not running the Coca-Cola 600. I am not sitting here running a race when NASCAR continuously lets our teams down and disrespects us. I'm going to stay here and run the Indy 500. The consequences of that, he doesn't get a waiver. Absolutely doesn't get a waiver. Or he gets the waiver, and then once they ask about the waiver, he can actually let go of the truth and say, you know what? We've been trying to negotiate with NASCAR for 18 months now. It simply hasn't happened. They have got a monumental increase in revenue. They do want to share that with us. So I decided at the last moment to make a stand and say, you know what? It seems like NASCAR keeps spitting in my face and in Hendrick Motorsports in our face. This was my stand. This was my don't show up to the meeting. I decided to continue with the Indy 500 and go with the Coca-Cola 600. But you won't find that in today's, it's the right term. I don't want to say like wussification of what we have for athletes. It seems like athletes want to make more societal stands than they actually do things that actually promote the sport. They'll do things that hurt the sport, but don't want to do anything to promote the sport. This would be a great way for leading voices to unite and get us closer to a deal that helps everybody. A deal to where we get more money going to the team, so we don't have to see somebody like Austin Dillon or Ty Dillon or, well, it would have been Austin Cindric if he didn't win. Harrison Burton. Sponsorship wouldn't have to matter anymore. It would be about the guy behind the wheel. But NASCAR teams have let themselves down by not promoting its stars and doing less and less to be out there in the public. There are nearly as many public spots to meet NASCAR drivers, to get promotional products, to be down to earth people that we can relate to in the Midwest, Southern United States. Those opportunities have ceased to exist compared to what the other drivers, the other pioneers in the sport used to do to market itself to be the best organized racing in the entire world, in my opinion. When you receive the fat check that NASCAR is getting from the media rights, you can understand why they don't go out of their way to promote the sport, because they're the ones receiving the fat check. It's the ones not receiving the fat check that have to find a way to receive their end of the money, and I feel like they have let themselves down because they don't understand what it took to get to this spot, and have become lazy and have just sat on their laurels and said, we just hope this all works out. We're gonna be fake mad. We're gonna let them know we don't like this, I guess, on sub tweets once in a blue moon by Denny Hamlin, the one voice. It needs somebody. It needs a Dale Earnhardt to come back and say, look, this is what it took to be the number one sport, or the number one ticket at one time, hundreds of thousands of people going every single Sunday. I did this. I did this for you guys to reap these benefits. It's time for you to do something. And we don't have that right now. So that's my let's talk about it. That's why I think Dale Earnhardt is needed now more than ever, even if it's for somebody to look back on and see what he has done, not even as the racing side of it, but the promotion side of it. And I hope somebody like Dana White coming into the sport will help that. And I think he could from a NASCAR standpoint, but NASCAR teams got to do a little bit more themselves. Just want to let you know we're now on TikTok. We'll be streaming races on TikTok. We're on Twitch. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Anywhere that you can actually get social media content, we'll be there. We're going to have live shows this week as well. Get back to that. We're heading to Iowa. That will be Sunday night. And yeah, jumping back into the normal schedules as our lives allow. But I appreciate it. My name is Ryan Peters. Thank you for tuning into the Stuck in the Catch Fence show. Like always, stay safe and God bless. We'll see you in the next video.